Hello, sixth period bioethics. My topic is creation and evolution, where God fits in, and what the church's standpoint is on these two topics. So, first is creation, origins of the universe, where the universe came from, and how it all started. There are a few theories about this. The first one, most widely known and most widely accepted, is the Big Bang. This was developed by Georges Lemaitre, a Belgian physicist and a Roman Catholic priest. He expanded on previous scientists' observations of the expansion that happens in our universe. So he thought if the universe is constantly expanding, at some point it had to be a very small point from which to expand. Therefore, you get the idea of this Big Bang where everything first started. Another theory that kind of coincides with the Big Bang is a cyclic or a balloon universe. The idea that our universe is expanding and at some point it will stop and then start to collapse in on itself, eventually getting down to the most dense point possible before expanding again. So the universe would be in this constant cycle of expansion, stopping, and then collapsing in on itself, which fits in very well with the Big Bang and the idea of a constantly moving universe. The third theory is a black hole universe, where our entire universe is contained within the reaches of a black hole, and that black hole exists inside a larger universe which we cannot have contact with. So all matter in our universe came from that larger universe outside the black hole, but it is not possible for us to have contact with that larger universe. And then the fourth theory is kind of an interesting one. It's the idea that our entire universe is actually a digital simulation made by something or someone in a larger physical universe. So everything that we are experiencing, even our own selves, our own consciousness, is just a digital program. Now, Stephen Hawking, arguably the most prolific and most respected physicist in our lifetimes, doesn't ever explain the creation of the universe. He has theories and explanations for nearly everything else, but actually at his 70th birthday recently, he said that a point of creation would be a place where science broke down. One would have to appeal to religion and the hand of God. So Stephen Hawking, the most prominent physicist, has said, I can't explain this. I don't even have an idea. The only explanation for the creation of the universe, the start of everything, would be a supernatural being, a God. And if you think about this logically using Thomas Aquinas' prime mover theory, that using the law of inertia, that a object in motion will stay in motion until an outside force acts upon it, and an object at rest will stay at rest until an outside force acts upon it. Everything in our universe is in motion, but at one point it must have been at rest for that motion to have been started. And that requires an outside source of energy to start that motion. And at some point you have to get to the conclusion that there is something that is the prime mover, something that can move itself, that is outside the laws of physics, the law of inertia, a supernatural being. So the creation of the universe must have a God. Now, the church's standpoint on this, in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, it says that God must have created the universe, but not necessarily in any particular way. The church has not made an official statement about whether it's all right to believe the literal biblical translation of the creation story, which is 7 days, or if the Big Bang is a viable theory or any of the other theories. So God must have created the universe in the first place, but how he actually did it doesn't really matter. Now, for the theory of evolution, the father of genetics, which is the basis of evolution, is Gregor Mendel. He was actually a Catholic friar, an Augustinian friar, and he showed through his experiments that genetic changes are possible in a specific species. Now, mutation is what makes these species change. There are mutations in the gene that allow a plant or an animal or a fungus or anything to adapt to its environment. So it has these genetic changes. And it is plausible that over time, an organism could adapt so many times, could have so many genetic mutations, that it would warrant being called another species. Evolution is still missing a lot of evidence, though, and the steps required in the scientific method to make something a theory, a hypothesis, or a law will most likely bar evolution from being defined as a scientific law or theory for a few million years until evolution is actually observable. Now, Pope Francis has spoken about evolution. He said that God created beings and left them to develop according to the internal laws that he gave each one so that they would develop and reach their fullness. In this, Pope Francis is basically saying God created everything, all beings, but there is a biological order by which things can change and develop and come to their fullness. So this seems to confirm the theory of evolution, that it would be acceptable in Catholic teaching. Now, the idea of Adam and Eve specifically as being the parents of humankind, there is a theory that Adam and Eve weren't one man and one woman. It was this name that was given to a group of people. It's called polygenism, this theory that Adam and Eve were groups of people rather than two separate people. This is actually not acceptable in the Catholic Church. The theory of evolution is, but you must believe that Adam was one man and Eve was one woman, and all humans descended from their offspring. Now, the most important thing about evolution and accepting it with your faith is that humans' immortal souls must have been a direct creation of God. They can't have come about from natural causes. This is necessary to uphold the dignity of the human person because our immortal soul is what makes us like God. It's what makes us made in his image. So, in the end, on the theories of creation and evolution and the different options you have to believe what science says or what faith says, the church leaves most everything up to you, but God must have created the universe and the human soul. This is what's most important. God started creation and God made us human. Whatever happened between that doesn't exactly matter. Whether it's a Big Bang or a black hole universe doesn't matter, and whether immortal souls were placed into animals to make them human, or whether we were created in the physical image of humans that we know today, doesn't exactly matter. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.